Hi, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and amongst all of you this evening. Congratulations to all of you who have made it so far and all of the young people who have participated in this challenge in the past year. I also want to thank the leaders at IIM as well as the Tata Group for organizing this and giving an opportunity for young people to provide solutions that can really democratize access to different kind of opportunities for people in the country. My name is Balaji Ganapathy, and I have the pleasure of sharing with you a few stories of what an organization like TCS can do to make a difference in the lives of people in the communities where we live and work. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge that we live in very challenging times, and I want to start this talk by paying homage to all of the healthcare workers and the frontline workers who are doing an unbelievable job day in and day out, helping address the humanitarian crisis that we are in the midst of. And it is thanks to them that we can be more safe and reliant on ourselves and our families. So I want to acknowledge their contributions. Now, I think the speakers before me have done a terrific job of sharing what opportunities lie for us if we really believe in the power of people, in the power of potential. But I want to share with you a few stories that illustrate this from our point of view at TCS. If you take a step back and look at India and its progress over the past 60, 70 years as a free country, you have great examples to refer to in the 60s with the Green Revolution, with Operation Flood in the 70s, with the liberalization of the economy in the 90s, and then the services sector boom after that. Why these are important things to note is that each of this came with the opportunity to really democratize opportunities to a large number of people in the country. And that subsequently led to societal uplift and what I call moving from a vicious cycle to a virtuous cycle for so many young people, so many families across the country. As I want to reiterate that everybody is born with equal potential, but not with equal opportunity. And creating access to those opportunities is the key to solving this problem of self reliance. And if you look at where we are today, we have come a long way as a nation. But there are still opportunities that we can address. And I believe that technology and digital solutions can play a huge role here, but human ingenuity and innovation is at the core of everything that can make and lead that change. Of course, as TCS, we are grateful for the opportunity to have served the nation in the past uh, uh, 40, 50 plus years and creating innovations that can help democratize access to healthcare, access to financial inclusion, and so many more services that is reaching people in communities across the country. But today, what I want to present to you is a model and a few examples of how, from a community and a CSR perspective, companies can play a key role in leading and igniting that change. If you look at the world of opportunities, there are immense. But if you look at some of the key issues that can be addressed in the country, whether it is to do with the 20% or 23% who are below the poverty line, or 50% of pregnant women who are anemic, or if we look at only 25.3 percentage participation of women in the labor force, or if we look at the 130 million young people who will be entering into or have the potential to enter into careers and entrepreneurial opportunities in the next 15 years, India has immense potential. But what is probably required is to connect those people to tangible opportunities, especially in the new economy, which is driven by digital. Digital does not mean that everybody has to be a computer scientist or an expert. It means that in the era that we live in, we need to be literate on what it represents and understand how we can tap into those opportunities. And that requires innovation and collective knowledge. And so our mission is to use this innovation and collective knowledge to empower people and connect them to opportunities in the digital economy. And we try to do that by creating equitable and inclusive pathways for all. Why? Because the solution often doesn't reach where the need is the most. So, as a mission, we have prioritized the most marginalized parts of the country and people in the country as whom we want to serve, especially women, youth, and other marginalized group, whether it is on the basis of caste, whether it is on the basis of demographic regions, or the kind of socioeconomic conditions that they live in. How do we address this? We believe that using a model that combines the four C's, the intellectual capital, technology capital, human capital, and financial capital, can make a huge impact when it comes to addressing, jointly addressing challenges that the country faces. This, I would say, is in essence the antarlapi that our chairman, Mr. Chandra, talks about in his book, The Digital Nation, that people and talent hold the key to the challenges that India is facing today. So, with this preamble, what I wanted to share with you actually today is not to take you through the width and breadth of what TCS does and along with our partners, along with people in the community, but to offer to you two or three specific examples. As young people, budding entrepreneurs, leaders of today and tomorrow, I hope that these examples, these stories will inspire you, but also inform you of what the kind of impact you can make with even small ideas and great passion. The first story I want to share is about Nurabati. Nurabati was a typical woman in India. In her 40s, the only earning member in her family was her husband, and she had three young daughters whom they needed to support. Um, Sounds like a typical woman in India, especially in the rural villages, which is about 65% of our population. One day, she heard about TCS's adult literacy program, and she and many of her friends in the village decided to participate in it. And once they participated, Nurabati started to gain certain skills that started to give her confidence and look at her life a little differently. Most importantly, she realized that learning basic arithmetic would help her to put her on a path to self reliance. And sure enough, in 3 months' time, her entrepreneurial spirit really came to the fore, and she started to do her own business of selling vegetables. From someone who, for 20 years of married life, had just looked at herself as nothing more than a home giver, which is an important role to play, she was suddenly able to transform herself as a hub of economic activity in her family. She started earning about 300 to 400 rupees and as income, and that really started to put her on a path where she is now feeling self-confident, self-reliant, and guiding her daughters also on a path where they can not just learn and be well educated, but start their own job or business. This is the story of more than 1 million Indians that TCS's adult literacy program has reached over the past 10 to 15 years. This program was the vision of our first CEO, Mr. F.C. Kohli, who is also known as the father of the nation when it comes to digital India. And the whole IT sector gives has a lot of gratitude for his contributions over the years. The adult literacy program is basically a program directed at neo-literate or anybody who is 16 years and above, but predominantly focused on women and adults who are illiterate. About 80% of the participants in the program have been women. And what it does is using a very social approach of puppets and symbolic items, as well as technology based software that is being created by TCS. It really combines these three to really bring to life the journey of functional literacy, basically the three R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. The impact of the program is not just on the lives and the livelihoods of Indians, but multiple levels of impact are there. And I want to just illustrate that 81% of the participants of the program encourage their own children, especially girls, to go to school. So it creates a social change. It, of course, creates a higher self esteem and increased ability to participate in family decisions. This is very important because only 19% of women in the country even have land ownership, which is an important determinant of the social capital, the power that you have to influence your own future. The community impact is also immense. Take, for example, the New district in Haryana, nestled between the prosperous districts in Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. This is one of the worst in the country when it comes to literacy and other socioeconomic conditions. After the program was introduced and conducted here, 80% of the participants are now accessing government entitlements, which is already available for them, but because of lack of awareness, they were not able to access. Women started new businesses, and about 40% are also starting to operate digital devices, because from functional literacy comes financial literacy, digital literacy, and then the access to self-help groups and livelihood. 45% saw a change in average monthly income. This is the first story I wanted to share with you as an example of how an organization working along with societal partners in the larger community can create a transformational impact. This program is today in 20 states in 9 vernacular languages and 162 districts across the country. Most of these are aspirational districts where the literacy rates are very low. Is this a great example? Yes, it is, but it is not enough. There are 278 million Indians who are still illiterate, and many of you can create solutions and innovations that can really democratize this in a much bigger way. Of course, we have the ambition to take this much far and welcome your ideas and participation in it. I wanted to share this video as capturing the true essence of what this program means to one of the women from New district in Haryana.
नई दिशा मिली सौगाते हम इसी में पढ़ने जाते हैं। हमें नई दिशा मिली सौगात हम इसी में पढ़ने जाते हैं। हमें अनपढ़ लाचार जिंदगी बनाना चाहते हैं। हमें अनपढ़ लाचार जिंदगी बनाना चाहते हैं। पढ़ने के गुण मैं सभी को बताऊं, सुनो ध्यान से बहनों तुम्हें समझाऊं। अब कोई मत रहो घूठा टेक, नई दिशा में पढ़ने जाते हैं। छोटे बच्चों को घर में पढ़ाऊं, ट्यूशन के पैसे घर में बचाऊं। समय पे देती पोषाहार, नई दिशा में पढ़ने जाते हैं। फीते से नाप के सिमाई अब मैं करती, 4 गुना ज्यादा कमाई अब मैं करती। पति का देती पूरा साथ, नई दिशा में पढ़ने जाते हैं। बचत के पैसे लेके बैंक में जाऊं, नहीं किसी से पर्ची भराऊं। नहीं किसी से पर्ची भराऊं, नहीं किसी की गवाही करूं। क्योंकि हम लिख पाते अपना नाम, नई दिशा में पढ़ने जाते हैं। नई
So that is one example. And the important thing is that when you have a literate society, the participation in other economic and social and other activities increases. And that is what really democratizes these opportunities going forward, right? The second story I want to share is about Ujjwal Mandal, who lives in a remote village in West Bengal. When I visited him just before the pandemic started last year, he was one of the most, I would say, excitable and proud people that I've ever met in my life. And to believe, to my surprise, a year ago, he was just like one of the millions of young Indians in rural India who have a degree or a diploma but do not know what will happen with their life going forward. He had aspirations but did not know how to access those aspirations because he did not have any network into the big cities or opportunities to work in large companies. So what he encountered though was TCS's Bridge IT program, which is a program that really addresses young rural youth and helps empower them with the entrepreneurial skills and access to capital, access to resources, and helps them foster a small microeconomy in villages by providing services that are very important for today's rural India, but doing it one person at a time, one village at a time. Today, Ujjwal is one of the success stories that India can be proud about. Not only has he succeeded himself as an entrepreneur and started from one shop in his village to three different shops, he's actually branching out in different kind of businesses that he's undertaking today. And he's one of the highest earners of the program, earning more than 100 to 125,000 each month, in addition to employing 5 to 8 people on a regular basis in his shops. So, what is this program all about? So, Bridge IT is basically, as I mentioned, a program that is directed at youth who are 15 to 25 years. Mostly 60% of them are not even graduates. And therein starts the challenge of how do you really empower them with the kind of knowledge and awareness and skills, but most importantly, the confidence, the self confidence that they can do something on their own and really make a difference. So the path to how they become self-reliant is we created a 5 year journey, but most of them achieve self-reliance in about 12 to 18 months. And during this 12 to 18 months, initially we are providing them with a sustenance fund and also working with them to help them understand basic skills, basic digital skills, basic business skills at the most grassroots level. And then over a period of time, once they are ready to start their own enterprise, giving them infrastructure like laptops and connectivity, and giving them the right kind of access to mentors and helping them start their own business. And then once they start their revenue streams, giving them ideas and helping them take up things that are relevant for the villages. And if you think about it, so many, for example, 35% of Indians still don't have access to health and financial stability, even though the government offers schemes towards this. And young people like Ujjwal can be the answer to that problem, where one of their revenue streams is to help give government entitlements and access to government entitlements to the villagers in his community. On an average, the entrepreneurs are today earning over 18,000 rupees a month, which is about, if you look at it from an economic impact perspective, about two times the earning in compared to anyone who is self-employed for men, and 4.5 times for a woman. And we've just crossed about 4 crores of aggregate earnings. But what is most, I think, gratifying if you look at the last year is that, especially when the first wave hit India, and the lockdowns were enforced, many of the people did not have access to liquid cash. They were looking for sources for that. And one of the services that many of the entrepreneurs provide is being business correspondents to banks. And so they acted as the last mile connectors. And then from distributing money to then giving access to tele law and telehealth, many of the ideas and services that they're providing is creating huge social impact. This program is currently in 10 states across India. We've chosen the states and the districts in 30 districts. And we use a cluster based approach so that it is not one entrepreneur, but a set of about 8 entrepreneurs in districts and villages in a similar location. and supporting them with additional resources through our partners. 95% have increased their income, 92% have increased their standard of living. It is again an amazing success story for them, and their success is India's success. The power of really identifying the right problems to solve and using a human centered approach to really solving that. And this is the journey that each one of you are on. And I'm very excited to see the kind of transformative impact that you can create. Finally, I want to just mention that among the portfolio of programs that TCS runs, one is very much in line with the theme for today, which is social entrepreneurs. I spoke about rural entrepreneurs. I spoke about how self-reliance can be created among every Indian through literacy. This final example is of our digital impact square, where in Nasik, while for the last 5 years, we have been hosting entrepreneurs, young students from across the country, and using a spot, probe, grow, scale model, working on about 45 different entrepreneurial ventures, social enterprises that are now starting to show transformative impact across the country. These are budding entrepreneurs like you who go and spend time to understand problems in villages, design what could be the kind of solution, work along with the beneficiaries and people in the community to streamline those solutions, and then bring it to life. And TCS supports them in that journey through mentorship, through incubation, as well as finally through financial capital as well. And here are some examples of that. Um, so finally, the takeaway that I want you to have is that every individual can make a huge difference. And when you bring a great idea to life, it has the potential to change a whole generation. And aim for that, and believe that what you do can create a great future. Ultimately, it is innovation and collective knowledge that is really transforming society. We're grateful to have the opportunity to play our role as a company, and we believe that every company should be a purpose-driven company and demonstrate that by applying what you're doing for your core customers, what you're doing for your employees. Apply the same approach to the community and work along with young people like you, leaders in the community, and other organizations to lead social change. Thank you for listening to me, and thanks again for the opportunity to be here. Good luck with today's competition.